Congratulations, Mayank, on converting Pgdba 2021.
Thank you.
How does it feel, first of all?
It feels really good to be a part of a program which for years has been one of the most sought after program in the field of analytics in India. Right,
Right.
from the time in fact, the time when I heard of this program was when it featured in the key. It featured, I think, around the rank of 14 in world QS ranking in the field of analytics. Yeah, so it's good. It feels really great.
Right. So, how did you get to know about Pgdba, first of all?
Yeah, so I think when I graduated from, when I did my undergraduate, I had decided to go into the field of machine learning and AI and that sort. So even though I was someone from background of electrical and I had not done coding then, but I had started to get into it, right? So it was then when I came across these courses, where the master's program in different places in Europe, in US, and in India. Specifically in India, I heard about this particular program which actually featured in those ranks, right? So I was seeing those ranks, and then I saw that there's a course in India organized by IIM Calcutta, IIC Calcutta, and IIT Kharagpur that featured in the top 20. Right, so that's what I came. That's where I came across this course, and then I started to dive into and try to get to know more about these courses. Followed some people on LinkedIn where I saw how they were faring in their own companies and that sort. So yeah, so
Right, right. And why you chose Pgdba to begin with? Like,
yeah, so I think it's more of a personal decision, considering that I did not. So I took up engineering in an electrical background, right? So it's not nowhere related to machine learning and AI specialization. So I have always wanted to do a formal education in this particular area. That furthers my career decision, and makes it more. It actually strengthens my profile, right? When you go somewhere and say that I've actually done a particular course in this area, and even though you have all the skill sets, but saying that I've actually done a particular course means something, right? And to do it at one of the biggest, one of the most major colleges of India is a
right,
statement in its own, right?
right. How did you get to know about Tuted?
Yeah, so I think when I started my preparation for this particular year, and I was very adamant that I want to start this year and finish it off this year itself. I don't want to wait another year. So it was then that I came across different programs organized by different institutes, right? And I saw this program organized by Tuted, and I looked at I searched for Tuted in YouTube and saw all of these people giving good feedbacks about this particular course, and then I uh, saw that there was a test series course which enticed me the most because it was something I wanted to take part in, not enroll in an
Right.
entire end-to-end course because it didn't have a lot of time, right? And plus, since I think the reviews are good, I decided that I'm going to go forward with this.
So, practically, like, how long did you prepare for Pgdba? Seriously, I mean, when you hold pen and paper and like started solving it.
Yeah, I think around the month of I think November or December, I think we were of the idea that the program would happen, the exam would happen in the month of February, March or something. The dates were not clear then, right? So I
Right.
think I started around the month of November, and
Mm-hmm.
and a bit of I started very slowly. November, December, I did something. Then it was only after January, Feb that I started to increase the speed of my preparation. But the dates kept getting shifted.
Delayed,
But
yeah.
yeah, but I was very adamant that it doesn't matter when the exam happens. But I have to crack this year only, so I'll continue my preparations. So I gave almost 1 to 2 hours of my time every day, almost every day, to make sure that I'm brushed up on the maths part, I'm brushed up on the logical reasoning part, and keep improving the LR part. I mean the verbal ability part, because that was the most trickiest part in this entire, the entire written test, right? Because it was something that brought my scores down a lot. I could see that the verbal ability section is pulling my scores down a lot. So I wanted to focus on that part. So I continued, giving equal weightage to all of them.
Right. So you got like healthy 5 to 6 months of time to
Yeah,
prepare
yeah,
and
yeah,
to give
yeah.
the exam. Right.
Yeah.
And how was the final interview? Like, what were the questions you got over
Yeah,
there?
I think my interview process was very smooth in that sense that so there were the three panelists were there. Only two of them asked me questions. The other one did not ask me any questions. But they started off with giving some very basic, maths questions. It was more like a puzzle and lesser of a, a kind of a solving thing. Very basic, conceptual based questions. Two or three questions he asked me, and then I think he was only looking for an approach and not exactly to get to the answer in that sense. So once I was able to figure it out, I said, we can move on to the next question. So those are very basic puzzle maths, right? We just need to focus on what the basics are of this question. Then I told that I had a bit of idea about statistics and sense, and some questions about statistics like z test, t test, and all of those things happened. And then after that, the person who was, I think, my panelist among my panelists, I think IIM Calcutta's director was among the people who were taking my interview. So he was asking me questions regarding market, the things around what is Sensex, what is Nifty, and then if you think that, and questions around that, the market has been constantly increasing in the last 2 years, but the economy has not fared in that sense. So why do you think that there is a correlation in that sense? Like, what is exactly the relation between the two? So there were some very good questions being asked in current affairs as well. Yeah. So I think it was a pretty short 20-25 minutes of interview there, and yeah, it was it. I think
it was in the morning.
Yeah, it was in the morning. I think it was around 9:30 or so.
Yeah. Okay, early in the morning then.
Yeah.
So what will be your tip for like upcoming batches and people who have just started preparing for Pgdba?
Yeah, I think my tip would be to make sure that you are very consistent with the preparation. Start early, right? Because when you start early, you have a lot of time to figure out what your mistakes are. And when you start, like, let's say if you give 5 or 6 months of your time, you start early and you start less. You give only 1 hour to your preparation, but you do it consistently, and that makes sure that at the end, towards the end, you will have enough amount of fuel in you, which can make sure that when you go into the exam, that all the concepts have been covered and there is no scope for mistakes there. Because the problem with Pgdba exam is that you have to score as much as you can in written. And, if you score more than 120 or 115 out of 150, you are almost very sure to get in, right? So that was my aim as well, to make sure that I get as much as I can in written. And for that, you need to make sure that you start early, because there is no scope for mistakes there. And I think and the rest of it is you keep preparing for the interviews. Just make sure that you're in touch with current affairs, and you know basics of mathematics and statistics and all of those things are right. And make sure that one thing what you should always do is make sure you gain from the experiences of your previous batches. If you do a lot of research in that sense, you will know that what are the kind of questions being asked, and your questions may be different, but the pattern more or less remains the same. So do a lot of research every time you want to prepare something. Yeah.